Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Celtic and more specifically in the Europa Conference League. Is that what it's called? Is that its official name? I think it is. The Europa throws me off because, you know, we're wishing that we were in the Europa League ultimately, but no, we're in the Conference League, a competition which has split divide amongst not just Celtic fans, but footballing fans in general. Is it a necessary competition? Is it a positive? Is it a negative? Ultimately, is it a competition worth winning? Well, today we're going to talk a little bit about that and what Celtic's journey in this competition could be like. Before we go any further with the video, you know what point this is. I'm asking you to go down below and hit that big red subscribe button. If you could, it would be so much appreciated. We're almost at 43,000 subscribers. We're trying to get to 40,000 subscribers as quickly as possible. So if you could take a minute out your day to go down and press that, it costs absolutely nothing at all. And if you could, press the big thumbs up as well. One thing I want to make very clear before we start talking about the Conference League and everything to do with Celtic going for a potential quadruple, we're going to talk about the Bodo Glimt game tomorrow. It will be on the channel. It'll be part of the podcast. The Celtic the Thunder is going to have a special bonus episode out tomorrow just for yous listeners who enjoy that show. Me, Kieran Auld and Callum Craig will be in the studio tonight. So if you want to get involved with that, make sure to head over to the Celtic podcast Twitter account and you can get some questions in for tonight's show. I'm looking forward to that. But tonight and today on this video, we're going to concentrate on the competition itself and more specifically 3 different sort of areas I want to break the video into. So I want to look at this in 3 different sections. Number 1, how the fans perceive it. What should Celtic fans be expecting? What is the divide like? Ultimately, how seriously are we taking the Europa Conference League? Number 2, I want to look at the manager, his comments on the competition, his ambitions in the Conference League. And number 3, ultimately our chances of winning a quadruple. Is there a serious opportunity that we could go and win? Not just the initial or the opening edition of this competition, but, you know, a quadruple for the first time since 1967. You know what I mean? We've not won more than 3 trophies in a season. Well, 3 major trophies in a season since back then. So could we do it this season? Could we go and win 4 trophies? I mean, there is a serious opportunity of it, and we'll talk about it in these 3 sections. Just a quick disclaimer, I know in this video I've used the phrase quadruple quite a lot, and there's nothing to say we'll even win a treble this season. We've obviously got to focus on both the Premiership and the Scottish Cup as well as the Conference League, but it's all fun and games. Let's have a laugh. Let's aim for the sky, I suppose. So the first part of the video, as I said, I want to look at is the kind of way that we perceive this, the way that Celtic fans are looking at this competition, and how seriously we are taking it. Now, I wish I conducted some sort of poll for this because I would have liked to have backed up what I'm about to say with some actual numbers in regards to my viewership and my sort of subscribers to see your guys' opinion. But if you go on social media, I think that most of you will agree you're going to find a split in opinion of how we approach this competition and how seriously Celtic fans are wanting to take it. I think there is a real big divide, quite an equal divide on what people want from this competition. Now, I've spoken about the Conference League on the podcast so many times, and we've consistently had the same question so many times in regards to the Conference League, and that is, would you risk the league title for the Conference League? And this is where the divide comes in. And this is what makes it a bit weird for Celtic fans, maybe at this stage of the competition at least. There is, I would say, half of the Celtic support right now who are looking at this as a competition like any other and saying, yeah, let's go, let's throw everything we've got at this and let's try and win a European honour. At the end of the day, that's what it is. It might be the 3rd tier of European honours, but it's still a European honour. It's also the first ever year this has been held, so you know you've got a chance to write yourself in history as the first winners of the Europa Conference League. That's a big achievement, and I think any European competition is an achievement for Celtic. It's not very often that Celtic reach European finals. The last time was 2003. Before that, you have to go way back to 1970. You know, there's a very big absence of European finals in Celtic's history for the size of club we are. And I think that you look at times like Lisbon, you look at times like Seville, And you see what it done for this club and what it done for these supporters, and I think you really do want to try and achieve that again. So there is a side of the support, we're definitely on that, throw everything at it, let's go and try and win it. But I think that you'd be naive to suggest there isn't a very healthy proportion of fans who really don't want to risk losing the league title this season for the sake of winning this competition. There are so many people who are looking at this as a way of slipping up, a way of adding more pressure to the fitness issue, to injury issues, and ultimately a competition that doesn't really matter when there is a chance to reclaim a league title. I think a lot of this comes down to the fact that Rangers have drawn a very difficult tie in Borussia Dortmund. They've got to head over to Germany, they've got to head to the Westfalenstadion, and they've got to try and get over a very strong Dortmund side. It's going to be difficult. And realistically speaking, Rangers will probably end up out the competition. I'm not saying that because I'm a Celtic fan or I'm biased or I'm trying to annoy or wind up Rangers fans. Realistically, playing the side who are second in the Bundesliga is going to end in defeat for Rangers, which means Rangers are going to be out of European competition more than likely. If they don't, then fair fucks, okay? That's none of my business, but fair play. But realistically, they're going to end out of European competition. If Celtic make it past Bodo Glimt, we will be in another round of European competition, which suddenly adds on more games for Celtic, which adds on more minutes in the legs of Celtic players, and gives Rangers the chance to take the lead every single weekend, pretty much. Because think about it, if Rangers play on a Thursday night, if they don't play on a Thursday night, and we do play on a Thursday night, we're guaranteed Sunday matchups. Rangers will probably have Saturday matchups, which means every week you're looking at a possibility of Rangers maybe going a point clear, 2 points clear, and then we need to try and leapfrog them again on the Sunday. A lot of fans are not happy with the prospect of that, and that is what has created this sort of divide and wanting this game or this competition to be taken seriously. However, I think that we should look at this and think to ourselves, well, listen, Celtic are a good enough team to go and try and win all 4 competitions. Why not? We've got a squad depth now, we've made good signings, we have the legs to rotate. You know, we're playing Bodo in the first round. We should be getting past that. I think it would be embarrassing if we were to take anybody lightly in this competition. And if we want to get knocked out when we have ties like this. Celtic are a powerhouse in European football. We should be trying. We're a big, big name. And we need to make ourselves look like a big name. Imagine and strengthen ourselves as European contenders once more. That should be the priority for me. I want to win the league title. Of course I do. But I think that, I mean, this is my opinion as a fan. I don't like sacrificing competitions for the sake of another, unless it is absolutely necessary, of course. Unless you're like, you know, handed this do or die scenario. But I think Celtic can handle this. I think their manager has shown he can handle this, and we should have some faith in Celtic to do so. Which brings me on to the second part of the video, and I've just alluded to what it was there, and that is the manager and his approach to this competition. Now, if you didn't like what I just said there, in my opinion towards this competition and why we should be pushing in to try and win it, well, you won't like the manager's opinion either, because the manager is in a sort of similar mindset to me. Look, the way that I've always thought of it is Celtic should be, and should be aiming to be once more, a Champions League side. That's where we should be setting our sights. This is a club who were the first in these isles to win the European Cup. This is a club who have won, you know, so many trophies, so many honours, got so many supporters, and are ultimately just, as I said, a powerhouse in terms of European reputation. And yet, for the last decade, we've not shown that. You know, we've been in the Champions League less than a handful of times in the last 10 years. It's embarrassing for a club our size. I know that there is financial competition that makes it really difficult. However, we should be aiming to win these competitions, Conference League. We should be able to go far in competitions like the Europa League, because ultimately, I want to see us back challenging the best of the best in Europe. One day that will come, and that comes with the right mindset from both the supporters and the manager. And that's exactly how the manager is thinking. He said in his press conference, I believe today, it might have been a couple of days ago, whatever, that he's not going to prioritise the league over the Conference League. The quote from the manager himself was that I've never entered anything without thinking about trying to be successful in it. I took Australia to a World Cup and thought I could win it. I know people will say I'm being ridiculous, but that's just the way I'm made up. You go into something and do your utmost to be successful. So that's what we'll do in Europe. We're in it and we want to succeed in it. That's what we'll try to do. I'm not discounting this competition. Well, the manager's spoken. The manager's got the same sort of opinion as me. We should be looking at every competition as a must-win. And you've got to love that attitude. You know, people will laugh. People will turn around and say, win the World Cup with Australia, never going to happen. But what is the point I think this is the fundamental part of it. And this is the part we've got to understand. Fundamentally, as a football team or any sports team, the priority in anything should be to win. And if it isn't that, then you shouldn't be in the sport. You shouldn't be watching the sport, you should be playing the sport, you should be competing, managing, whatever. Nothing. Because the whole point is to win. And I think fundamentally, that is the basics of every competition. There's no need to prioritise one over the other, I think. You're in it to win them all. And I love Ange for saying that. And I love his thoughts for saying that he was trying to win the World Cup with Australia. Because why would you not? You're not there to turn up and have a laugh. You're there to try and succeed. That's a winning attitude. That's a winning manager. And that's what I want to see from us in this Conference League. Because we can win this if we put our mind to it. And you've got a manager there who's going to send every single player out there to try and win it. And I think that his attitude and hearing him say that is huge. I think it should sway a lot of Celtic supporters to decide that we can win this. And hopefully a lot of fans are backing him in this competition. You see the ticket sales, for example, they aren't great so far for this Conference League tie. There's a lot of sections in that stadium that are not sold out, which I think is quite sad, really. We should be getting behind the team, we should be pushing us in European football, and we should be trying to bring back another European trophy to Celtic Park, because Christ knows it's been a long time. And finally, the last part, what are Celtic's chances of a quadruple this season? Should it be a realistic aim? Is it a realistic aim? And, you know, could we be celebrating a potential quadruple by the end of this season? Listen, by no means is this going to be an easy task to win this competition. We need to, number one, get past Bodo Glimt. I don't think we should discount them for who they are. They're a decent side. They have shown that over the past few years in domestic and European football. Yes, they've lost a lot of their best players. However, still a very good team. So we need to get past them first. But there's still a lot of great teams in this competition. This is still a competition that I think a lot of teams will want to take seriously. I know a lot of the tin pot ones down in England won't care about it. They won't want to care. However, it's up to clubs like us, clubs like Feyenoord, clubs like AZ Alkmaar, clubs like Roma, I think, to try and show something in this competition and try and show that it can be taken seriously and should be taken seriously. But we still have a solid chance of winning a quadruple, and Ange's belief is the same as my belief. There is no reason why we can't make ourselves close to a final in Albania. So on screen, I'm going to put the clubs we could face in the next round if we make it past Bodo Glimt. We've got Lask of Austria, Ghent of Belgium, Roma, of course, managed by Jose Mourinho, AZ Alkmaar, who we played and defeated earlier on this season, Feyenoord of Rotterdam, Copenhagen, who, of course, we have history with over the past few years, Rennes as well, another club we've played over the past few years, and Basel of Switzerland. Those are the sides we could face if we make it past Bodo, and that's a difficult hand of games. Any one of those could be a tough tie, but you look at clubs like Rennes, you look at clubs like Copenhagen, you look at clubs like AZ Alkmaar, these are clubs we know we can beat, because we have beaten them. It is very much possible that we could beat these sides, and we can get ourselves through to, you're suddenly talking a quarter-final of European competition. When was the last time you said that when it comes to Celtic? You know, you're looking at the clubs still in the competition as well. Of course, there's clubs in this round of games that we could also face beyond the next round. But you look at those sides there, they might be the best sides left in the competition. We can beat those sides. Absolutely. And I don't think there's anybody. I think you look at someone like Roma, who are Serie A giants, powerhouse, managed by one of the greatest managers of all time in Jose Mourinho. You look at them and you say, that's a tough tie. But there's no reason why we can't beat them. We went to Leverkusen a few months ago, if you remember rightly. We were 2-1 up with 10 minutes to go. And we were very, very good. And we could have easily won that day if just things fell a bit better. These are sides we can beat. I think we should be believing ourselves. There is a chance we could win a quadruple. Do I think it's going to happen? Realistically, probably not. I don't see it happening. But the more progress you make, the more belief you get. And the whole thing is to believe in this team and this current group of players to make that progress. Because suddenly you beat Bodo, you get a good draw in the next round, and you start believing. You just start believing as the rounds progress. And I think that there is a genuine conversation for believing in this side to go and win a quadruple, this season. Before we end off the video, I know for a fact that there'll probably be the odd number of Rangers fans in the comments below giving it the whole, Diddy competition and bums, this, that, the next thing. The one thing that I'm going to respond to that is, We'll see if that's still the same thing when Rangers are competing in it in a few years' time. Because it's going to happen. Rangers will be in the Conference League one day. It's going to happen. That's inevitable. You know, it's not like Celtic and Rangers are guaranteed Champions League, Europa League forever. There is going to be a year where Rangers are in that Conference League. So when it gets to that day, I want to see if Rangers treat it with the same sort of disdain that they do right now. Because I have a funny feeling they won't. And that does it. That'll do us for today. I just wanted to talk a little bit about that Conference League tie on Thursday, but more in regards to the bigger picture and what happens if we make it through. This could be all pointless, ultimately, by the time the next round comes through, because we could be out. But let's believe. Why not push for a quadruple? Let's try it. And if we don't, we don't. I don't expect us to. Certainly not putting that expectation on Ange or the players. But it's a great feeling to believe. And I just don't see why as a support we should be thinking, nah, fuck it. Let's go for it. That's my thoughts. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Make sure to hit like and subscribe. And I'll see you all next time.